Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And we are once again talking about college basketball here in the Final Four. It is so bittersweet. It is so, honestly, kind of sad that everything is coming down to a close here, but you know, since the start of March 18th, and that was the start of the first four for the NCAA tournament, and the NIT, the CBI, the Crown, I mean, we've been absolutely raking in these postseason tournaments, nearly up 27 units just since March 18th in college basketball, and man, that gives me such a rush. That makes me feel good. I know that I handicapped the sport well, but to kind of see it culminate on the biggest stage of them all here in these postseason tournaments definitely makes it feel all that much better. And when we're looking at this Final Four, man, 4 number 1 seeds, we are going to have fantastic games, fantastic matchups, and I think we have some really strong angles in the 2 bets that we have for both the Final Four matchups here. But before we do hop into those picks, I do want to take a second to shout today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And if you haven't already signed up using promo code ROBDFB, I highly recommend you guys do so. But with all that being said, I'm so jacked. I'm so excited. Let's talk about the Final Four here in the NCAA tournament. All right, first up, we are taking a look at that game between Florida and Auburn. And when you're looking at these two teams, both of them have really been pushed to their limits in multiple games. For Florida, it was UConn, it was Texas Tech. They probably deserved to lose both of those games. And when you look at Auburn, you know, they were on the ropes against Creighton, they were on the ropes against Michigan, and then Michigan State even kind of had that tightly contested in the second half when it was a 5-point game right out of the break. But, you know, credit to both these programs and both of these teams, they kind of surged back late. They ended up kind of taking the lead and then handling it down the stretch in the games that were a little bit tight to the wire. But when you are looking at Auburn's road, they were playing in Atlanta, Georgia. And I don't know if you guys watched those games live, but my goodness, that crowd was absolutely a home crowd for Auburn. There was no doubt about it. Every fan in that arena kind of sounded like they were cheering on the Tigers, and it was basically the jungle away from the jungle. And for Florida, it kind of felt like the opposite. It felt like everybody was kind of pulling against Florida, especially in that Texas Tech game when things were getting real loud. But when you are looking at just the makeup of these two teams and what we've already seen kind of play out in the regular season as well, I actually think that Florida is a much better team. I think Florida is going to be able to punch them in the mouth, and who knows kind of where Janai Broome is coming out of that injury. I know that he came back in the game late, had some nice buckets down the stretch, but you have to kind of wonder about a guy who has already dealt with, you know, 2 different injuries now that have kept him out of a game, or at least minutes in a game, at multiple times in the season. So let's go ahead and lay the 2.5 points here with the Gators for 4 units for our first bet here on Saturday. All right, for our final pick here in the Final Four, we are heading out to that game between Houston and Duke. And my goodness, what a great game. What a fun stylistic battle. And what a, you know, great head coaching battle when you look at the elder statesman, one of the best coaches to ever do it, Kelvin Sampson, taking on a very young coach looking for his, you know, first real chance at glory in John Shire. And when you're looking at Duke and their road to the Final Four, you know, forget the NCAA tournament. They've had really impressive wins. I mean, my goodness, they handled Alabama. They beat Arizona convincingly. They handled Baylor. And now they have Houston. And throughout the regular season, you know, the ACC was a terrible conference. 100%. There's no way to deny it. But at the same time, they did have wins over Arizona in the regular season. They beat Auburn in the regular season at home at Cameron Indoor. And they also took on, you know, Illinois on a neutral environment late in the season and then beat Louisville in the championship game. Those are all fine opponents, but Houston is a different beast. And why I say they're a different beast is because Houston is going to play a style against Duke that Duke has not seen this season at this level. There's not a single team that you can point to on Duke's scheduling or their resume that has anything that emulates what Houston is going to bring to the table. And that's what makes this matchup so damn intriguing because, you know, Houston is almost a one of one. Think back to the Virginia teams that we saw in years past with Tony Bennett, kind of playing that physical, grind you out style and holding to the last second in the shot clock. Well, Houston, in terms of this year's Houston team, is those Virginia teams on steroids because on offense, they actually do have some hoopers. They actually have athleticism at multiple different positions. And I do feel like what Duke is about to see is going to be, you know, just a shock to the system. And I really do think this game ends up being decided in the second half. I really think the game in terms of the actual winner is a true coin flip. I wish the odds were better on Houston's money line to take a stab at them here, but that 5.5 points that they're getting feels awfully steep for a game where I feel like, again, the outcome, just the outcome itself, is a true coin flip. So let's go ahead and take Houston, getting the 5.5 points here for 4 units for our final bet here in the Final Four. All that being said, I really want to thank you guys for supporting this channel throughout the entire season. Obviously, after the Final Four, we will have a national championship, you know, pick'em video put out as well. And if you do want picks the rest of the way in the Crown Tournament, as well as the NIT Championship as well, make sure you are following me over on Twitter/X at RobDFB, and you won't miss out on any of those picks that we post on there. But with all that being said, y'all, I appreciate you guys, and as I always say, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.